Hey guys, Chris here. I am with Tim Megginson. He is a personal trainer from Cambridge, it is. Southeast, I believe it tells me, and I think it's Ely. I keep saying Eli. He's actually one of the fat loss experts around that area in the Southeast, and he does an awesome job at it. He's doing a lot of hormonal work at the minute, and I wanted to bring a different voice, really, to sort of just get a different perspective, because I know you hear me talk about things all the time, and maybe just by taking a different perspective, different angle, Tim might hammer home a few things that you might have been struggling with. So what we're going to really talk about is how hormones can affect your weight and also either make you fat or keep you fat. Okay. So Tim, if you just want to introduce yourself as a little bit of background and stuff, that'll give a cool perspective on things.
Hello.
Yo.
How's it going? You alright?
Yeah, good mate. Good.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I've been PTing for 5 years now. I sort of started off in the normal fashion, did kind of normal courses, X, Y, and Z, and when I started training people, I realised that the whole kind of calories in, calories out, exercise and diet and that only route doesn't always work, or doesn't work the majority of the time for people.
Yeah, definitely.
So I started looking into the works of people like Charles Poliquin, Dax Moy I've been termed with, and sort of several other people, and just getting bits and pieces from books that I've read, and looking a bit deeper into the hormonal and endocrine systems of people in the last couple of years, and that's really enhanced the results that I've got.
Yeah, definitely. I think massively people store fat through the hormonal sort of responses, and they don't really realise why, or they get quite frustrated at it. That's
it. It's almost as if people are doing all of the right things. The problem I had is I thought everyone was doing everything right. You know, I had them eating the right things. They were exercising from what I thought was absolutely right, and they still weren't getting the results they deserve.
Yeah.
So looking a little bit deeper into how the body works, and we're getting some really good results from that at the moment. So
cool.
It's really cool.
So let's elaborate a little bit then, Tim. What is the biggest hormone that is sort of holding people back, and why, really?
For me, I think it starts off at cortisol.
Yep.
So stress. I think that's where the sort of base of the problem is. Now, I think what happens is people don't always shoot for the base of the problem. They try and sort of go for the other things that are masking from that, because hormones work as a huge cascade effect. So if one becomes out of balance, it sort of knocks the rest of them for six, and then you get all of these different hormonal aspects out of balance. But for me, it starts off at stress. I think a lot of people have got far too much stress in their lives, work stress, family stress, nutrition stress, you name it. The majority of things that people are doing in their lives at the moment, their lifestyles, is stressing them out and stressing their body out. And so they're getting massive elevated levels of cortisol throughout the entire day, which means they find it hard to sleep at night. They've got low energy at the start of the day. At the end of the day, they've got too much energy. They find it difficult to sleep in the evenings. Obviously, that sleep aspect is massively important for their body's development and repair. Then they're not fresh enough, and then they can't take advantage of the things that they are doing. So for me, it's got to be cortisol, which is causing the sort of baseline of the problem.
Yeah.
So people have just got far too much stress.
Definitely. I think, as we've discussed quite a few times, with work-related stress in effect, a lot of people can't actually get away from the stress, so the stress is constantly there, where if we think back to our sort of primal patterns and back to when we were cavemen, if you like, the stress was always fight or flight, and then there was always a recovery period after that, so the stress would go away. But now it's like constant, so our cortisol levels sort of plateau out throughout the day.
That's it, and you just get this, it's complete, you know, our priorities have completely changed, but our genetic makeup hasn't.
Yeah.
So every time we get stressed, you know, our body thinks that we're performing some sort of primal safety activity, for instance, running away from a neighbouring group of cavemen, or running away from a saber-toothed tiger. I know I've talked about a lot. But that's what it thinks it's doing, so it tries to expend energy. And the way it does that is it steals amino acids, so protein molecules, from muscle tissue.
Yeah.
So it breaks down muscle tissue, the all-important tissue that keeps your body fat levels low. And it also cause you to store more body fat, okay, because you've lowered your metabolism then, haven't you, by reducing your muscle tissue. It likes to store body fat on the front of the body as well.
Yeah.
And as the cortisol levels go up, the vital sort of human growth hormone and testosterone levels, they actually come down, and they're really important muscle builders and fat burners as well. So
yeah, and with them decreasing, then estrogen increases and knocks everything else out of sync as well.
Exactly. And then what you get is the effect that the estrogen sensitive tissues on the body, so for women, this is massively in the back of the arms, the legs and bum, they start becoming receptive to these elevated levels of estrogen, and that causes them to store more body fat in those particular areas as well. Definitely. So you get this kind of effect where people are really unhappy with a particular area of their body, and that's because their hormones are out of balance.
Yeah, of course. And
stems a lot from the stress hormone.
Definitely. And then I think with people's diets where they can't detoxify estrogen because the diet's really poor, the liver's not functioning properly, then they've got a real problematic areas where they can't shift fat at all from the legs and thighs. So have you got any sort of protocols that you follow, Tim? I know I've got a few myself, but I wanted to take your perspective on things and how you can sort of manage cortisol.
Managing cortisol. Yeah, so you've got two effects going on here. Managing cortisol is any particular thing, or pick up on any particular thing that relaxes you as a person. So for me, I'm actually really into meditation at the moment. Yeah. But I love a massage. So just taking even if you're only booking it in twice a week to begin with, a couple of massages, some time out, maybe just 10 minutes out of your day to sit and breathe and relax and take your mind off that stress. And you're going to start dropping that kind of really sort of stressed, what we call fight or flight response, and start coming into this rest and digest response where your body can start internally repairing itself, and you start adapting and getting the sorts of results that you're looking for in your body. So anything that you can do to really kind of relax of an evening, reading's really, really good, hot baths. Yeah. Just going out for a walk, maybe at lunchtime at your work, instead of sitting at work and eating your lunch, going out for a walk and getting a bit of vitamin D and sunshine. That's where I always shoot for. So anything that can kind of relax your body to begin with.
And definitely removing yourself from, if it is work-related stress, getting out of the office or your work environment is a massive thing at lunchtime, I think, as well.
Definitely.
And like you say, in an evening, sort of I try to tell my clients to sort of create a cave if they can on an evening and just sort of chill out and not have too much going on, like the telly and stuff, and maybe read a book and just sort of relax and zone out and focus on themselves a little bit and give themselves a little bit of me time.
That is key, and that's going to improve sleep as well. That's absolutely key. Everybody needs that. People just need to spend more time relaxing and less time stressing their bodies out, and they will start to adapt and get the results that they want, because the cortisol levels are going to drop naturally. Yeah.
So I know we've mentioned cortisol levels. So what is the general sort of structure that cortisol should take the pathway throughout the day? So we know this, but maybe the people that are listening don't really understand what cortisol's job is. So if you could just enlighten us a little bit, Tim.
So basically, the normal level is cortisol should be really high in the morning. You should literally jump out of bed and do a double backflip and be ready for the day. Yeah. I don't know if you know too many people that are like that. And then it should gradually decrease throughout the day. Yeah. And to the evening, cortisol levels should be really low, because you should be de-stressed and ready to go to sleep when your cortisol levels should be at the lowest. So your energy should start from about 6 a.m. and your cortisol levels should drop and be at kind of rock bottom by 10 p.m. in the evening. Yeah. Should gradually decrease throughout the day.
Definitely. So that also, sleep comes into play here, because with your cortisol levels dropping and you're not getting, if you don't get sleep on time on an evening, then that can also affect your cortisol levels and also your fat storage as well, yeah?
Yeah, because it's going to completely knock it out of sync. When your cortisol levels are high of an evening, you're not going to sleep well. Again, you're going to have this effect where you're knocking out the vital sleep hormones, which are your growth and testosterone. And you're just going to, they're muscle builders and fat burners. If you haven't got enough of them, you're just going to be fat storing. If you imagine it like that, it's possibly the most sort of basic way of thinking of it. Yeah. You're either going to be fat storing or fat burning. And if you've got high levels in the evening, you're going to be fat storing. And obviously, you need to be relaxed in the evening. It's good to have good cortisol's good for burning fat during the day. Yeah. The level should be high, but then it needs to come down at night so your body's recovering and repairing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of the general public sort of have a plateau of cortisol throughout the day.
Yeah, what tends to happen is you get like somewhere of a level line. So you've got continuous stress at a mid to high balance. So you'll find in the morning you feel a bit drowsy because your cortisol levels aren't high enough to the point where they should be. And in the evenings, they stayed at this mid to high level line. So they're balanced all the way through. And in the evening, they're too high, so you still feel wired before you go to bed. So you're stressed and wired.
So any sort of supplements, Tim, that you can recommend to sort of manage cortisol?
I I would shoot for Tulsi tea.
Yeah, massive one.
As a big supplement, something that really helped for me. As I'm someone that suffers from this whole stress thing as well. Just because I think really deeply into things, and I'll spend, I'll sit up late at night sometimes answering emails when I know I shouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm a bit
something that's worked really, really well for me is the Tulsi tea. So anytime post 4 p.m, when your natural cortisol levels should be dropping and they're taking the slant downwards. Beyond that, at the moment I'm shooting for rhodiola rosea, which is a natural herb.
Yeah, I'm having that
which
as
is
well.
an adaptogen. So is the Tulsi tea an adaptogen. It adapts to your levels of cortisol and helps them ease back into a normal rhythm. And before bed, sort of 2 hours before bed, I'm shooting for magnesium and zinc.
Yeah, massive.
And that's what's worked really, really well for me, especially with the whole sleep and sort of hormone manipulation. So, yeah, that's what I shoot for.
Cool. I also have licorice tea in the morning.
Yeah, perfect.
To help sort of manage the cortisol production in the morning, keep that management of it pretty high and stuff like
definitely.
that.
I would say as a non-caffeine based tea, the licorice teas, it's also fights against the HSD enzymes of cortisol as well.
Yeah.
Which are the sort of natural. When your body has high levels of cortisol, it can reflect in your fat cells, and you get these things called HSD enzymes. And what they do is they reproduce cortisol even when levels of stress in the body aren't always high, which means you can be fat storing from having previous stress. And what licorice tea does is fight against the effects of that. So that's really cool before 2 p.m. So what I'm doing is licorice tea from sort of morning wake up until 2 p.m. and then post sort of 4 p.m. I'm doing Tulsi tea on the way down. So you've got to imagine it as an up and down curve.
Yeah, pretty much the same as me, that, Tim.
Excellent.
Excellent. Have you got anything more to add, Tim? Anything else that you can think that will help people sort of manage the hormone balance, and especially in particular cortisol? I mean, I think we'll maybe do a couple more interviews over different hormones, because I think it's a massive area just speaking about cortisol.
Just stick with it. It's like anything. You've got to remain consistent. It's no good saying, oh, I had one hot bath this week, or I had a few Tulsi teas on Tuesday. You need to do it regularly and consistently so your body's patterns naturally adapt. And the longer you've been out of sync, the longer it's going to take to get back into sync. So you have to stay consistent and persistent with the plan in order to start getting the results that you want.
Definitely. Awesome, Tim.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much for that.
That's okay. That's cool. Thank you very much.
And thanks, guys, for you that have listened. Obviously, there's a lot of it going on here. You need to sort of take action on what we've said. There's a lot to get your head around. So if you've got any questions, then just fire them over. And we'll bring you a few more little discussions like this on different hormones and how we can manage them. All right. Thank you very much, guys.